Friends and viewer, good day. How are you? Today, again, Leo Tolstoy. I had selected one of his best short story, in my opinion. The name of this short story is The Empty Drum by Leo Tolstoy. And this empty drum is written by Leo Tolstoy, which is first published in 1891, based on a Russian folk tale. It tells the story of a laborer and his wife who are treated unjustly by the king. So the empty drum, the name of this short story is a day laborer whose name was Yemelyan. Yemelyan avoids stepping on a frog on his way to a work. As he continues walking along, a beautiful young maid calls to him asking why he isn't married. He doesn't have enough monies and doesn't have a place for them to live. She says if they work hard and go to the city, things will be fine. So what happened next, that they go to the city, get married there and live in a little cottage. One day the local king notices Yemelyan's wife. He compliments her and talk a while. She expresses satisfaction with her husband, and the king started to like the beautiful wife of Yemelyan. He thinks of her all night, the king, wondering how to steal her from Yemelyan. He consults with the servant who advised him to hire Yemelyan and work him to death. Then he can take the widow for himself. Yemelyan is summoned and goes, but his wife, of her own accord, stays home and tells Yemelyan to come home to her in the evening. Yemelyan is given more work than two men could finish, but somehow he gets it done. The next day he is given even more, but again he finishes. At home in the evening, his wife makes him comfortable. She tells him not to look back or ahead on his work, but just to do what is in front of him, and everything will be fine. Yemelyan works for a week. His workload increases each day, but he always finishes and goes home in the evening. The king's servants see that manual labor won't break Yemelyan. They advise he be given skilled work instead. Yemelyan works a second week on these tasks and again finishes everything and goes home at night. The king is angry with his servant for their failure. They can't explain his success, speculating there must be magic involved. They have a solution. Order Yemelyan to build a cathedral opposite the palace in the single day. If he fails to complete the task, he will be executed. Yemelyan is informed and goes home dejected. He wants to flee with his wife. She insults his courage and says fleeing is hopeless. They would be found by the army. She tells him not to worry, to eat, sleep, and get up a bit earlier in the morning. She wakes him in the morning, sends him off with the nails and a hammer. Arriving at the site, Yemelyan finds a nearly complete cathedral. He puts the finishing touches on it by evening. On seeing the completed cathedral, the king is frustrated. Threatened with punishment, the servant come up with a new task. Yemelyan must make a river to flow around the palace with ships on it. Returning home discouraged, Yemelyan informs his wife of the situation, again wants to flee. She tells him to obey, carry out his usual routine, and everything will be fine. She wakes him in the morning, tells him there's only one mound at the harbor that needs leveling. Emelian finds a river flowing around the palace with ships on it. He levels the one remaining mound. The king is vexed with the additional failure. He consults with his servant again to come up with an impossible task. They come up with a task in the form of riddle. Go, riddles, what was the riddle? Go somewhere, you know not where, and bring back something you know not what. And if you don't bring it, I'll cut your head off. Emelian puts the riddle to his wife. She thinks and then advises him to go to her grandmother and ask for her goodwill. She will give him an item. Then he's to go to the palace where she will also be knowing they will take her. Emelian sets out. He talks to some soldiers along the way, but they can't help him. He finds the old woman, the peasant mother, at her cottage in the forest. She spins flax and weeps. Emelian tells her his story and current predicament. She stops weeping and gives Emelian some food. She gives him a ball and tells him to roll it and follow it until it leads to lodging for the night. He will find what he needs there, something that people obey more than their parents. He is to take it to the king, who will, of course, says it's the wrong thing. Because it's wrong, Emelian is to break it and fling it into the water. This will save his wife. Emelian takes his leave. He followed the ball to a big house in a great city by the sea, where he stays the night. In the morning, the father and the mother of the house tells their son to do some work, but he puts it off and goes back to sleep. A loud sound in the street makes the boy and Emelian go outside. It's a man beating a drum. He won't give it to Emelian, so he follows the man until he stops to sleep. Emelian takes the drum to the palace and announces his presence. The king won't look at the drum. Emelian beat it, which summons the king's army. They follow Emelian's command. The king returns Emelian's wife and demands the drum. Emelian continues beating the drum and leads the army to the river. He breaks it and throws it in. The soldiers scatter. Emelian and his wife return home and live happily. The king doesn't bother them anymore. So this is the end of The Empty Drum, a short story by Leo Tolstoy. So the plot of this story is, it depends on the extreme power of imbalance between Emelian and the king. The extreme power of imbalance. Wanting Emelian's wife, the king uses his power to take her from her. He has the power to assign Emelian whatever task he wants, with a penalty of death for failure. He doesn't even have to give the appearance that his requests are fair. The whole point of the job is that they are supposed to be impossible. Indeed, they would have been, if not for the magical power of Emelian's wife. Emelian can't complain to anyone that he is being treated unfairly. The king's power is based on the army he commands. The army would bring Emelian in for execution if he failed any of his tasks. Emelian's wife knows fleeing is futile, so he knows not to flee from the army would find them. So this is what does the drum symbolize. The drum symbolize the king power is based on the army he command. When Emelian beats the drum, they shift their obedience to them. At this point, the king realizes his power is slipping away, and he quickly returned Emelian's wife, demanding the drum in return. Emelian keeps the power, continuing to beat the drum and leading the soldier away. When he breaks the drum, he breaks the whole hold of the king, hand over the soldier, and they disperse. The story makes a good point of drum is empty. This seems to represent the hollowness. This empty drum represents the hollowness of the king's power. The army obeys him, but they will easily shift their allegiance to someone else if circumstances change. Their loyalty isn't real. It's based on fear and the threat of punishment, just like Emilian's obedience. With the drum broken and discarded, the peasants are now symbolically free from the king's oppression. So, ladies and gentlemen, The Empty Drum, written by Count Leo Tolstoy, and this is a very beautiful story, and that how a king had imposed an impossible task that the Emilian cannot perform that task, but he started to perform it, and because the king likes his beautiful wife and he wants to punish Emilian for death and to take his widow from him. So this is the story of The Empty Drum by Leo Tolstoy. I think you will enjoy it. Kindly subscribe my channel. Thank you.